One of the fastest ways to destroy a great employee is actually to promote them. I know it sounds crazy, but companies do it every single day. And in this video, I'm going to explain why. The best employees you have, they're dependable. They show up every single day. They solve your problems. They work through things for you. They do their job better than most. So you would think right off the rip, that's the person that I want to be the next manager, to be the next leader, team lead, and so on and so forth. What if I told you that that could be one of the biggest mistakes that you're going to make with your team? The problem is being great at your job and doing your job better than the rest of everybody else doesn't automatically make you a leader or a person that should be managing a group of people or a person of power or authority. That's not how that works, right? So you being good at your job or the job that you're currently doing doesn't mean that you're just automatically going to be the best at leading people in that particular position. And then what we do is we promote them, and then we automatically expect them to be good at all the things that good leadership is good at doing, right? Holding people accountable, having difficult conversations, or communicating under pressure, and so on and so forth, right? So we expect that because they were good at the job that they were doing before, yet we're taking them in from a position of physical work or just problem solving, and then we're putting them in a position where they not only have to manage their own problem solving and their own communications, but they also have to manage the communications and the problem solving of other people. That's the aspect that we're forgetting. The saddest part about all of this is that most companies never even teach them how to do it when they make that mistake, right? So they see an employee, they're running around, they're jumping around, they're problem solving, they look like the best thing since sliced bread in leadership or in their mind leadership. And what they do is they give them the title, they throw them a little extra bread, and then they put them out there and they say, "Good luck." And you'd be surprised how often that this actually happens. And I want everybody to understand that is exactly what our problem is. That's what this whole channel is built around solving, is how we're going to start to teach and relay the message of actual leadership to the people that we're putting in the leadership roles. Now, the first issues normally when you take a good employee, you put them in a leadership or management role, and you say, "All right, here you go. Here's what you're doing. Here's what they always say. You're basically just going to do exactly what you've been doing. You just need to get everybody else to do it." Now, everybody just, all these upper echelon, executives think that that's just piece of cake, right? He's just going to show them how to do it the way that he does it. Come on, it's perfect. It's perfect. Guys, it's not. So the first thing that they do, so number one thing that those types of individuals do that get thrown in a leadership role is they begin to micromanaging. I'm not going to go into the details. It's going to be in a different video, micromanaging, but everybody understands what micromanaging is, right? They're going to avoid certain conversations. So that's number two. They're going to avoid them off the rip. They're going to avoid trying to hold their former peers accountable. They're going to avoid it. They can't do it. That's weird. They don't know how to do it, right? They don't know what to do. Okay. And then when they get pressured to actually go and hold those people accountable, you know what they're going to do? They're going to use authority first. They're not going to use a personal relationship first. They're going to say, "I'm the guy in charge and it's my way or the highway." Tell me how many times that's going to work out for them. It's not going to work out for them. They're going to have to adapt and adjust past that, right? Now, they still haven't even got to the real high level pressure yet that they're going to be getting. So these are just the groundworks that's working up to this real problem of why you shouldn't just say, "That person's working harder than everybody else. He's getting results in that position. He could probably lead people." Maybe that person can, but you have to work with them first. So I'll try to get a personal story in here to kind of relate this to something that I've noticed, right? So I would say it was about 5 years ago. I was right in a middle management type of position, and I had quite a few employees, but I was in charge of hiring that lower level management, right? So the lower level management where I was, though, you had to be very skilled at that, and you had to be very good at talking to your people, building good teams. So I remember I was walking down the dock, and there was this younger guy, and he called me over. "Hey, come here, come here." So I went over, I said, "Hey man, how are you?" We introduced ourselves and he told me his name. He said he was really interested in being a manager. He wanted to learn the skill sets and this, that, or the other. And I said, okay, that's cool. He was really good at his job. He was in a trainer position. He was training people. He was already kind of building that groundwork up. So it was perfect that he was interested. I went over, we chatted, and then a couple months later, I ended up interviewing him. We pulled him into that management role, and I worked with him. I trained him. And, that was the difference of this story is that I actually worked with him. I trained him. I put him through the pressured moments. I helped him work through the pressure moments. But, right around the 8, 9 month mark, man, he just couldn't do it. He couldn't do it. He was good at his job, but he really struggled trying to get people on board to do it the way that he does it. Not necessarily the way that he does it, but the way that is going to get the job done efficiently, fast, and smooth. He could not have those conversations. He just couldn't do it. So towards the end there, when it was, I think it was at the 10 month mark or so, he came to me and he said, "Hey, he appreciated everything that I'd done for him, but he said that he couldn't do it." And I respect that, right? I respect someone that's going to notice that, hey, I need a little bit more work on my craft here. I'm letting the pressure get to me, and I'm making rash decisions, and things just aren't working out the way that they should. And that's a respectable thing, guys. It's respectable. He just said that he couldn't do it. We did the best that we could, but he couldn't do it. And that's kind of, where I really started digging into this topic and understanding that just because certain people are good at their job, and he was really good at his job, one of the best. It's crazy because he was training people and he trained people really well. You would think that it would go over into management, and it just didn't, guys, because once he got that authority, he knew that he was the boss. He knew that because once you're a trainer, you still have the manager over you. And his biggest problem is when he got the manager role, there was nobody else that me as the top level manager was going to look at and say, what's going on here? It was him. I went to him and said, "Hey, what's the issue here? What do we need to do to fix this problem?" And that's where he started to struggle. There was nobody he could kind of push that off onto. It was him. And that's where he struggled, guys. And that's why when people jump into these roles, you hire them, you don't have to push for them to just succeed, right? Sometimes it doesn't work. But really, the message here is, and I know that this is a controversial thing, but I want everybody to understand, and I'm not saying you shouldn't promote some of your better performers out there. I'm not saying you shouldn't promote the people that are going out of their way to make things better wherever you are. But what I am saying is stop assuming that performance and leadership are equals. They're not, okay? Like, performance and leadership are not equals. Performance can lead to leadership, but that doesn't mean that it's a guarantee. It means you should be asking the questions of, can they teach? Can they have hard conversations? Can they problem solve under pressure? And, once you identify a high performer, before you ever promote them, I would always recommend to people to start putting them through some of that testing. Start testing them a little bit, right? Start giving them a little bit more responsibility. Give them something that's going to kind of put them in that pressure zone where they got to make a decision and they know that it's on them, and then start pressure testing them a little bit and see where the cracks are at. They're going to have cracks. They're going to make mistakes, but you want to see how they respond, and you want to see how they kind of navigate through those situations before you make the big call of promoting them. Do people actually want to follow them? That's the big question. That's really the biggest question that you're going to have when you're trying to select somebody for a leadership position. Do people actually want to follow them and follow their message? Now, I guess you could say this is controversial as well, but leadership is an entirely different responsibility. It's entirely different. And, here's something that I want everybody to understand. I want you to listen closely. I want everybody to listen very closely to what I'm about to say. Technical skill will get you promoted, but your people skills will determine whether you survive that promotion. And that's the truth. You may not like what I just said, but that's the truth. Technical skills only going to get you so far, guys. They're only going to get you so far. People skills is the most important skill set you're ever going to have. And what I mean by people skills is really just read the room. Read the room. What person do they need you to be? Servant leadership. Back to video 1. Back to video 2. Servant leadership. That's the truth. And let that sit in. Anybody that's listening and watching this video, let that sink in. And to close this video out, this is where I kind of want to end. And I want everybody to catch this message. If you're going to promote them, you better develop them. You coach them. You teach them. You show them how to navigate their way through situations. You actually show them how to develop a social aspect of their leadership. Actually coach and develop them. If you hire somebody and take the coaching, teaching, and developing section of that hire, and you go 50%, you are not only going to cause more problems for yourself, but you're going to create an awful manager. You're going to create somebody that might ruin someone else that works for them, that may be really good, that they could be promoted. You are going to cause a domino effect that's going to also destroy that team, and it's going to make you as the boss even worse, because you just created your own problem because of your lack of motivation to teach, coach, and develop. And you're going to lose them. End it the same way. I appreciate everybody jumping in, checking these videos out. Thank you so much. If you're on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, it doesn't matter where you're at. I would like everybody to kind of shift into that YouTube range. I appreciate every single person that's watching and supporting these. Thank you so much. Leadership isn't a title. It's a responsibility. And lead your people. Serve your people. And when the pressure comes, lead through the fire. I'll see you guys next time.